had to show up at conferences and meetings being 80 pounds overweight. So what if I fall down? It has happened, by the way. All of these things have happened to me.
Well, maybe you can tell us your secrets.
Most of the time, people don't actually care what you say. They don't care about anything other than how you make them feel. So the way that I cultivate self-awareness is like this.
Welcome to Confidence Secrets, the podcast where presence meets power. I'm your host, Kate. As a self-presentation coach, I work with ambitious women to elevate how they show up on stage, on camera, and everywhere in the world, so their presence fully reflects their purpose. Today's guest is a true force of transformation, resilience, and reinvention. After building a successful career in tech and media, she faced her biggest challenge yet in her mid-40s, her health. And that moment became a turning point. She is a speaker, a coach, a founder, and a Firestarter for women rewriting their second half of their lives on their own terms. Welcome, Terry Tateossian. I'm truly honored to have you here, and I have a feeling that this conversation is going to be something very special. I would love for you to introduce yourself in your own words.
Thank you, Kate. You actually did a great job and much better than I would have introduced myself. Thank you so much. That was
I did my homework.
A fire starter. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. I feel really grateful for your kind words. So in a nutshell, I started out my career in technology and media. As you said, I founded an agency that specialized in marketing and technology. And I did that for about 20 years when I found myself extremely burned out, overworked, overstressed, overweight, very overweight at about 80 pounds. And during this time, I had to do public speaking. I had to show up at conferences and meetings and sales presentations being 80 pounds overweight. So if you can imagine what that was like, and I would do it, right? I didn't have a choice. I would show up and do my job. And so through that period of time, I learned that a lot of times, most of the time, people don't actually care what you say. They don't care that you're overweight. They don't care about anything other than how you make them feel. And if you make them feel that you are confident, you are capable of doing the job or delivering on whatever promise it is that you've made, that you have done your homework, usually that's the impression, that's the lasting impression that I have found helped me be successful despite having a lot of body issues, right? Despite being overweight. That helped me quite a bit in my transition and my pivot in my 40s when I decided that maybe I need to step back from this career. Maybe that wasn't the right place for me because my health was declining very rapidly. And so that's kind of in a nutshell as a summary where our perspective is and where I come from. So thank you for the introduction very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you have now your platform, right? THOR. Maybe you can also tell us more about it.
Absolutely. So about 4 years ago, I started a new company because once you're an entrepreneur, you're always an entrepreneur. It's almost like a curse. But I have a different company now, and the name of it is The House of Rose, THOR, THOR. And what it focuses on is providing an experience to women in midlife that encompasses the body, mind, lifestyle connection, right? And so what we do there is a lot of yoga, hiking, meditations. We sleep really well. We eat really well. We work out and we connect with each other. And there's a lot of midlife perimenopausal women that come that are going through a lot of transition because if your listeners are in midlife, they know what I'm talking about, right? So there's a lot of different things going on, aging parents, possibly teenagers or grown children. Perimenopause has entered the stage. And so a lot of things are happening all at the same time for women. And I think finding a grounding space is really, really beneficial to all of us, really.
Thanks. Sounds very important and interesting. And of course, I would love to dive into this into details. But before this, I suggest have a little fun with a quick fire round. So just go with your gut, whatever first comes to the mind. Ready?
Yes.
So coffee, tea, or matcha?
Definitely coffee.
Agree. Morning routine or evening rituals?
Usually morning routine.
Bold red lip or clean girl look?
Definitely red lip.
For yourself, what do you prefer? Wog cover or TED Talk?
TED Talk.
Interesting. Because I saw your pictures, I would definitely imagine you're being on a Wog cover for sure, no doubt. Okay, Marilyn Monroe or Edith Piaf?
Ooh, Edith Piaf.
Wow, interesting. Paris or New York?
Paris.
And the last one, to be a center of attention or power behind the scenes?
Always power behind the scenes.
Interesting. Love that. Thanks for playing along. Now let's shift gears into presence, confidence, and everything behind. You have been on both sides of the work, let's say in the corporate and tech media, and then completely transitioned into wellness. It's different area. When you walk into a room or on a stage, how do you approach making a first strong impression?
No, I love this question. So the best way that I can describe it is I don't worry about my performance. I don't worry about what if scenarios, what if the speaker, the microphone fails? What if no one likes me? What if I fall down? It has happened, by the way. All of these things have happened to me. I don't worry about it. What I worry about is the energy and the intention that I'm bringing to the interaction. My main driver is, what do I make the audience or the guests or whoever I'm talking to, how do I make them feel? Do they feel empowered? Do they feel inspired? Do they feel entertained? Am I providing something of value? So I don't worry about the performance. I worry about the intention.
Okay, I love it. And when you have this intention, you have this goal, you have this mindset, it probably just helps you to show up in your power, fully own your space, because when you don't overthink, like, oh, what if happens? You just concentrate it on your goal and go for it. It makes others also perceive you the way you want them to perceive, right?
Exactly. The energy is infectious, right? So when you walk into a room or presentation or stage or public speaking engagement, whatever it may be, if you're bringing an anxious, scared, fearful energy, people can feel that, right? And so the key is really to be prepared before you enter that situation as best to the best of your ability, and bring an energy of confidence, of belief, of I'm worthy to be here. I have something to offer, and look at it as you're serving other people, right? It's a service that you're providing and you're in service to them.
Is there any maybe small yet powerful body language cues or habits that you always focus and probably they help you to present yourself better? You already mentioned about your energy, but I'm talking more about your body language things.
I love it. So body language, so important, right? 90% of communication is silent. Eye contact, right? So you want to look at the people that you're talking to, whether it's a group or an individual, or it's online, or it's like this, directly in the eyes to make that connection. And then the second thing that I focus on is not to fidget, right? So you don't need to make extra movements. You don't need to have a lot of hand motions and things like that. Cultivating a sort of a stillness and being rooted to the ground, and looking people in the eye, and most importantly, smiling.
I love those tips. I also stand by them and try to promote them. So more we talk about it, people more like educate themselves. So love it, because often I see people like, making those gestures when they're like almost flying. Or for me, your gestures is something that should support your message, not distract from your message, not be the center of attention. You should be the center of attention. So it's just supporting your message.
Exactly.
So do you have any confidence rituals, maybe mindset shifts, wardrobe choices, or personal habits that help you own your presence, own your confidence, especially you've been through transformation, right? Your health transformation, your body transformation. Maybe you noticed something helped you to embody that confidence in your new body. Basically, especially you work with clients, maybe you notice something worked for them as well. So I would love to hear that.
Yes. I mean, everybody's got their own style, right? So everyone has their own unique way of presenting themselves. And so, whatever that may be, whatever it is that makes you feel good. So, in my case, personally, definitely hair and makeup makes you feel like $1,000,000. When I do a presentation, I normally prefer simple colors, nothing in print, very structured. I don't necessarily wear anything flowy or unstructured in a sense, like a sundress. So you want to feel really well put together. Go for the shoes, wear the heels, do the just the whole thing, right? Because you want to feel that you're showing up at your best. If in your mind you feel like, well, I didn't get my makeup done, or I didn't have time to do XYZ, or maybe you're wearing something that's not fitting you the right way, you get anxiety out of that, right? Your mind is still thinking about it, even though you're talking about something else. And so that's number one. Absolutely. Go for the full visual presentation. And then right before I enter a situation where I have to give a talk live or to a group, you want to find that centered grounding inside of you, right? So a lot of times it could be breathing exercises, it could be a meditation, it could be remembering why you're doing this in the first place. And what I have found personally is that when I was working in sales, and purely for sales, that didn't do enough for me. I didn't feel enough inspiration. And so I always had to find a way, how do I help the other person? What is the value and the service that I'm truly offering as far as the benefit to whatever it is that I'm selling, right, in quotes, or pitching, or whatever it is that I'm talking about. So it had to have a greater purpose than just monetary value for me, because that was never my driver. And so remembering the why, right? Why are you in this? What is the value? What is the purpose of why you're doing this was always very important to me. And that kind of drove me through my entire career, because that gave me the confidence and the passion for whatever it is that I was talking about, because it was real to me.
Great, thanks. Do you have maybe some anchors? I mean, maybe some music or some poses or perfume smells that help you to embody the state of, okay, now I'm presenting, now I'm the best version of myself? Or you just trained yourself, so you don't need anything. You can be yourself and you still will show up in your full power.
It's interesting. I don't, the thing that I do, the ritual that I do, and I don't even know if it's a ritual, but I like to have silence, just complete silence and quietness for about 20 minutes, eyes closed, before entering the stage.
Interesting, because I talk to different people, and for some of them, they like to listen to some specific playlist or specific song, which will, like, get them in this state of being like powerful or presentable. Your story is amazing, so I want to deep dive into this more. You already shared a bit. You've been through major transformations. Maybe you can tell us about the times when you were not that confident as you are right now, What helped you to realize that you need to change something? And what specifically helped you? Because maybe some of our listeners will also recognize themselves in this state and apply those techniques to embody this confidence, to embrace the change and go for it.
So it's so interesting because I almost had a split personality when I was really heavy because I was very confident professionally. I did my homework. I worked really hard. I knew my stuff professionally. But then personally, when it came to my own body, right? When it came to my own image, I had lost. I had it before, but somewhere along the way, I lost that confidence. And so I didn't really care much about what I looked like at that point. I didn't think anybody would even find me attractive, didn't even matter to me. I had lost it, right? And so I had to work my way back into being okay inside my own body. And it didn't happen overnight. I know a lot of people want quick results and they want things to change rapidly. But confidence, true, real, authentic confidence, does not happen even after you lose 80 pounds, right? Sometimes we lose the weight or we do the thing that we set out to do, but we still are insecure. And so my confidence was built brick by brick, rep by rep, day by day, minute by minute, not from my transformation, but from keeping my own promises when it came to myself. So I would say, I'm going to do XYZ for myself and do them. Not just do them for everybody else, not just do them professionally, not just do all the things that are external, but internally to me. And so day by day, I had to rebuild my own trust in myself. And so when I eventually started trusting that I'm going to keep each promise I make, confidence just came on its own slowly, little by little. And it's training. It's essentially like going to the gym. You can train yourself to be confident and to really embody your true authentic self, which is what confidence ultimately means to me.
But this comes from a very high level of self-awareness.
Yes.
Do you have any not rituals, but techniques? I don't know, maybe you did journaling or like some specific things. Mirror exercise, very popular. I always recommend, but I have my own vision of this exercise to my clients. Or maybe you can tell us some literal techniques you did, because to have this level of self-awareness, it's very difficult. And yeah, it's very difficult to first realize all of this and then keep yourself accountable for everything every day, go it one by one, as you mentioned, brick by brick. Or maybe you can tell us your secrets.
Yes. So the little game that I play and I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or anything like that. I made that up. And I was talking to somebody recently that I was telling them about this thing that I used to do. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is like this kind of a therapy. They do that in family practice, apparently. But I had no idea at the time. So the way that I cultivate self-awareness is like this. All of us, including myself, have different voices in our minds that talk things. They say things, they think things, they feel things, right? There's different parts of us. And so what I did eventually, I figured out that I need to personify these thoughts, and I put them in different buckets. And depending on what they were feeling, and I gave them names. And so I would call a board meeting, a mental board meeting, and I would invite all of them because they're all part of you, right? They're all part of me. There's the toddler, Terry, there's the adolescent, there's the 20 something version. There's all these versions. And so I would invite them all to have a conversation, and I would open the floor and say, okay, Let's have a board meeting. I want to hear everything everybody has to say. I want to hear all your complaints. I want to know why you're unhappy, maybe you are happy. I want to hear that. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me what I'm doing right. And so this internal dialogue, I would let it happen. And so a lot of stuff I see on social media right now is that the advice is just shut it up. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear the negative, right? We just want to be positive. But that didn't work for me because that didn't go away. Just because I ignored it, it didn't go away. So I allowed it, and I would have the conversations, and I would hear the complaints. I would hear, okay, well, I'm not happy because of this, 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 this. I don't like it when you do X, Y, Z. And so that cultivated a self-awareness where I wasn't shaming, punishing, or judging myself. I was looking to unify, right? To have a unification with all the different parts of myself. And that led to everybody working as a team and towards the same goal. So that's the way I did it. I know it's not typical, but that was what worked for me.
Interesting. And I think we should add probably here. So first, yes, you became aware that some of your parts didn't like some of your parts, right? And you didn't criticize yourself. But what you did next is you came up with a plan, right? How to become better in that aspect of your life or your body or your mind. So you didn't let it just sit there. You came up with a plan, maybe one by one, step by step, but you just acknowledged it and then, okay, guys, like my board meeting, now let's do something with this, right?
Exactly. So self-awareness means nothing without action, right? Having a dream means nothing when you don't have a plan. Wanting things to change means nothing if you don't take the first step. And so that's the critical component, right? You could be self-aware and understand everything that's going on, but if you don't actually follow through, same thing with a body, right? So it's not like we don't know what we need to do to stay healthy. Not in this day and age, right? Everybody knows. If somebody doesn't know, they're living under a rock. It's the follow through, right? It's the consistency afterwards. It's the showing up every day. That's what creates the visible result, because everybody wants to be healthy. It's not like they don't know or they don't want it. Nobody wakes up one day and says, I want to have a heart attack today. It doesn't happen. They're just not ready to take action, basically.
I agree with you. I feel it's the most important part of our conversation for many of women because it's a very popular request how to become self-aware and what do I do next. I love it. So you help women basically to reinvent themselves via your platform, via your application. So maybe you can share 3 tips which will help them to do that. So we can also learn from you. Maybe you have some, I don't know, yoga practices or your specific morning routine rituals, or what you see works the most for your client.
Yoga is great, maybe once or twice a week. Love it. However, resistance training, weightlifting 4 to 5 times a week, utilizing progressive overload, meaning you try to get stronger and stronger as time goes on. You don't just stay at the same weight that you started at, is a game changer, not just for women in their 40s and 50s, but for all women, period, end of sentence. Knowing and educating ourselves on nutrition, right? So those 2 things are, if there's only time to do these 2 things, you will have 80% of the results that you're looking for. If you want to take it even further, looking at your sleep schedule, your sleep pattern. Are you getting 8 to 9 hours a day? Are you recovering well? Do you have energy? How do you feel? That's another extra step. And if you really want to take it all the way, then I definitely recommend looking at undesired substance that enter your day, such as nicotine, alcohol, etc., that is a really big driver in how we age and what our longevity and our health span looks like. And yeah, I mean, those would be the main pillars that I would recommend. Obviously, stress is another really big aspect to, especially women in their 40s. But I think when women are in their 30s, they're very stressed out as well, because a lot of them are starting families, getting married. There's a lot going on. So stress is always that big item that it's like the elephant in the room. And so, yeah, those would be my suggestions, and that's what works for all of my clients. Actually, there are no exceptions, regardless of what age they are.
Agree with you. Thanks. I think that there is a huge misconception about training, sport training, about weightlifting, and I also have a friend. She's health fitness coach, and I always had this idea, but she reinforced that weightlifting is actually much better for your long-term health, especially if you're in your 30s, especially when you're after 40s. And I think there is a huge misconception about, oh no, I don't want to do weightlifting, or I will look like a man. Girl, you will not look like a man, even if you try so hard. I mean, unless you're training for some bodybuilders like competition or something, you need so much effort if you want to look like a man. After like 3-4 weightlifting trainings in a week, you will not look like a man, because it's a very hard thing to become. So just maybe you can repeat this one more time for everyone, that it's very healthy and we should go for it.
Absolutely. You're not going to look like a man. It's very difficult to look like a man. And I think a lot of the misconceptions are coming in that women are going to look like a man because they see competitors that may be on performance enhancement drugs. And so that does change the physiology of women. There are negative side effects to that, but those women want to look like that. So if that's not your goal, it's not happening. It's not by accident. Like you don't lift weights and then 3 weeks later you wake up and you look like a man. It doesn't work like that.
I agree with you. And also, if even you don't like your arms, just stop it for 2 weeks. It will go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So tell our followers where they can find you, and maybe they can follow you or join your platform. So anything, please share.
Yes. So you can find me on my website, thehouseofrose.com. That's where everything is. And you can find me on Instagram. My username is How Good Can It Get? And those are the only 2 places. So yeah, connect with
Thanks.
me. I'd love to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I will leave all of these links below, so make sure you follow Terry, and of course make sure you follow Modern Day Life, because it's someone who brought us together. And follow me, of course, Kate Zeus, on all social media platforms. And I will see you in the next episode of Confident Secrets.